if you like what's happening, start attending events, start getting to know the teams that are putting these things on, and then work your way into some volunteer positions and be out in the community spreading the word.
Welcome to Shaping the Basin. I'm here today with Nick DePew. You are the Executive Director of Klamath Music. Thanks for joining me.
All right. Thank you for having me.
We ask our audience questions, if they have questions we should ask. And I have one for you. It was with the diversity here, Oregon Tech students, the military service men and women, our ag industry. How do you choose music that meets the needs of our diverse community?
Wow. Well, I'm one of those people that thinks that music is still an integral part of society. It does drive economic development. It drives tourism. It's something that heals divides in an extremely divided time. So how do I choose music? Sometimes I think music just chooses you. It's something in your soul that you just can't let go of. It found me when I was a teenager, and it just would not let go.
Tell me about Klamath Music, first of all, for people out there that don't know what that organization is. Tell me.
Yeah, so Klamath Music is a nonprofit here in town. We basically work to promote the whole music scene as a whole. We do several events throughout the year. We have several programs. The big one most people know us for is the Klamath Music Festival, which this year will be Saturday, August 23rd. But we also do a program with the museum and in conjunction with Underground Art KF called Under Klamath Skies. We do a showcase series for local artists and regional artists. We have a bonus showcase that just launched, and the day we're filming this, we have one tonight at the Garage Tap House. We also run workshops that teach musicians and even audience members business skills related to music. And we have a Glenn Justice Memorial Scholarship, which is for local graduates to help them that are musically inclined. They don't have to be music majors, but at least it gives them some sort of avenue to, help them with their collegiate careers or vocational studies.
So if I heard correctly, you are helping support local musicians, but also bringing out outside musicians to some of those festivals, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
It feels like in the last couple of years, the music scene here in Klamath has really begun to multiply.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a correct feeling?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, there's been musicians here since day one of this town, but in the last couple of years, we've really been making a push to highlight what's happening here locally, but then bring in regional people because there's a lot of talented musicians in the region that once they make the connections with the artists in Klamath, they feel that it's almost like a second home to them, and so yeah.
What does it take to get a musician here?
Money, number one. Doing this is not cheap, so it takes a lot of resources to make this happen. But as far as getting the musician here, on a regional level, it's basically we've just been building upon what we've been, it's people learn about what we've been doing in the region, so they want to be a part of it. Now, as far as bringing in like a headliner to the festival, something like that, then it takes a lot of, going through booking agencies, contracts, the whole connections sometimes with the industry to get around certain things when booking agencies aren't working out. And, then a budget to really make it happen. And then know-how from our team to really make those things possible.
Mm-hmm. What are some of I love that it's growing, but what are some of the challenges maybe holding the music scene back here?
I think there's a few challenges. Definitely lack of venues. That's a big one. And that's something that we are behind the scenes, we are really trying to help facilitate. There's licensing rules with agencies like BMI, ASCAP, and CSAC, which basically the Copyright Office dictates that, if you're going to have live music, there's certain performance rights royalties that go along with that. And so businesses oftentimes don't know these things and they have to get these licenses from these three agencies to have that. So we'll often help the agencies understand the process and things of that nature. But it's a scare tactic, not in a legal sense, a scare tactic, but it's something that frightens a lot of local businesses. So because of that, they won't often offer live music. And so there's a lack of stages, but there's some new stages in town, so we're thrilled about that. Then also, I think it's a lot of people in the entertainment industry and any business. We're seeing a lot of people just don't get out like they used to. So we're fighting that as well.
Mm-hmm. So along those same lines, there's a lot of opportunity to grow the scene here. What do you think the biggest opportunities are?
Yeah, the biggest opportunities we have here in Klamath Falls, we have something special. I think a lot of our traveling artists will tell you. We have kind of a really close-knit community that many musical communities don't have. If you go to LA, everyone's there trying to get the deal. It's cutthroat, places like that, like Nashville. Klamath Falls, people the attitude isn't like that. They're here to really support one another and help each other. So,
I think I've noticed a lot of collaboration,
mhm.
and that sounds like that's what you're referring to as a lot of maybe musicians are collaborating.
Yeah.
I've seen some musicians like
Mm.
stepping in and helping maybe other bands.
Yep.
Recently, I've seen some of that on Facebook. But talk to me about some of the other collaborations, whether that's through music groups or you mentioned Underground Art KF.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that.
Yeah, so that was a great one. So we have a program called Under Klamath Skies, and so that's a partnership with the museum, Klamath County Museum, and with Underground Art KF. So that started as more of a formal listening room environment in the museum, designed to kind of get people taking in a piece of the local history. And that museum has a ton of musical history. So anyone that hasn't been into the room there, there's a whole room dedicated to famous acts that have been in there. Like I think Johnny Cash was in there, Ike and Tina Turner, BB King, Fats Domino. So that collaboration started with trying to find music and history and storytellers there, but we also realized there's a lot of local art. And we've worked with Eric Basongan from Underground Art a couple times before, and he did one of our guest under Klamath Skies events the previous year, and it just made sense. It's like, let's make this a more exciting, fun, engaging environment where people can walk through history, sit in there, socialize, see music, engage with art at the same point in time. So that's been a really special experience. Our last event on May 1st had 300 people, and that was just restructuring the program. So those partnerships, I think, are vital for what's happening at Klamath Falls, and those events are getting on people's radars regionally. So.
Is there a specific type of music that's more prevalent than others here in Klamath with our local musicians?
I think there's been a couple styles that over the years you've seen. There's been a blues scene. There was a blues society for a number of years. There's a country scene as well. Klamath music actually started as Klamath Folk Alliance. So there was definitely a folk thing with that, but it wasn't formally rigid where only folk. We were a little bit more accepting of that. And then I think you can go back to the early 2000s. There was kind of a punk and emo scene for a while that's kind of come and gone, but there's some young musicians coming up now that are kind of making things exciting as well. And it's nice to see the music scene seems to be diversifying a lot more than it used to.
Is there a specific style that you think is missing or that you'd like to see?
Oh, I mean, everyone's going to fight me on this one. So everyone's got their preferences and things like that. I know. I'm a rock guy myself. That's the role I kind of came up with. I would love to see an opportunity for some more of those types of things, but we don't push that from my point of view. We push it what's serving the whole scene, and that I think there's some of that. I know there's people that are trying to get electronic music going, and sometimes there's pushback where the community doesn't always like some of those things, but at some point there's going to be room for everyone is where I hope we can get to.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Is it so Klamath Music, the organization itself, you're doing a lot of things. Is it like membership? Do people join it as a member?
No, so we're not a membership organization, but we're basically, we're in the community all the time. It's like we have 25 plus events a year. So we just invite people, hey, whenever we're doing something, come and join us. And it's like family. That's one of the beautiful things about the organization, but not a formal membership. And we're also not a promotional agency. We're not a promoter. That's one of the big misconceptions we get. People thinking that we're a booking agent for the local venues in town. And while we do book our actual festival and showcase series and things like that, we're not, working on behalf of this specific artist roster and, getting them gigs here and there. So
in my time at the chamber, I've been asked a lot why we don't have more music, which I think is why I've noticed that we have more all of a sudden. Not all of a sudden, but over the last few years that has grown. So for people that would want that to continue to grow, what are some things the average person could do?
The average things you can do is, number one, start attending events. I mean, I think that goes for beyond music, that goes for the art events, that goes for anything that you like in town. I think you need to go support it. Society has kind of changed. I'm kind of a nerd in the business world and like watch consumer behaviors and all these things. I have a business degree. So get out and support what you like, number one. But as far as could you say it one more time? Because I want to make sure I answer this correctly for you. So
no, what could people do if they want more music and they want that scene to continue to grow? What could they do?
Yeah, financial support. I hate to say it, but that is the biggest number one thing. So with our website, we have klamathmusic.com. There's options. People can get involved with sponsorships. We have a section called Join the Band where people can do monthly Patreon programs for as low as $5 a month. It basically takes money to make these things happen. And then if you like what's happening, start attending events, start getting to know the teams that are putting these things on, and then work your way into some volunteer positions and be out in the community spreading the word. Those are the big things to do.
I think about some things that I've told people along those lines is go, even if it isn't your exact kind of music, because most of us are actually more diverse in what we like to listen to. And some things hit a little different when it's live. I was sharing actually with Jared yesterday in between podcasts. I used to go to New Orleans when I lived in Houston, and I don't particularly love jazz, but when you're in New Orleans, jazz is a whole different thing, and all of a sudden you're a fan, right?
Yeah.
So I always encourage people, just go, even if it's not your favorite.
Yeah, that's kind of how I got into the scene with what we're doing now. Again, I said I was kind of a rock guy, and that was my scene. And I grew up, and I was in the professional world a little bit with some of that. And then you come here and like, hey, country wasn't really my thing, or this style wasn't my thing. But then you meet the performers and you see live music that's engaging, and this music that's bringing people of such diverse beliefs and political thinking and all this together and healing divides. And I'm like, okay, this is special. What's happening here in the music scene? So I will go watch almost any style here in town now.
Yeah. Do you, maybe you don't want to answer this, but do you have a favorite local or a couple of them?
Oh, I'll get in trouble for that.
Okay, then we won't say that.
I love you all.
That's okay. You can tell me later so I know who to go watch.
I'll say we have a number of incredibly talented artists across all age brackets. And there's a few that are trying to make it more of a professional push as well. I really love to see that as someone that is a kind of nerd in the music business side of things, ones that really want to make a creative space and make it a business entity of its own. So some of those, it's like I have a special place in my heart. I'm not going to say favorites, but those of you that get out there and actually, say, I'm going to build the website, I'm going to book the gigs, I'm going to put on professional shows, I'm going to treat it like a business. Those artists to me, it's like, all right, go for it.
Let's talk about that for a few minutes, because early on when you talked about Klamath music, you talked about the business side of being a musician. And I know when we talked a while back to Stefan Savides, we did talk about the business side of art as well. What are some of the tips or things that people need to know as a musician in a business way?
So I actually teach courses on this too. One of our last workshops was about this, called Getting the Gig. And the first thing I let people know is like, congratulations, little musician, you now started a business. So, and a lot of musicians and artists and creatives don't like to hear that. They want, the art's going to speak for itself and it's just going to happen. Well, it doesn't. You have to be out there marketing. You have to have a business strategy. You have to run your books. You have to, manage your money well. You have to do all these things that any regular small business owner would do. So you are running a small business.
And I'm assuming all of that information, where acts are playing, the classes, all of that is on your website, I'm assuming?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. In social medias, we're at Klamath Music on all the socials, but klamathmusic.com as well.
Well, the other thing that you've mentioned that I'm interested in is the importance of music in a community. So talk to me about that.
Yeah, that's something I know a lot of people think, it's just entertainment. It's just people having fun, or at the, at the bar, or at the, restaurant. And it's so much more than that. Music is something that just really brings people together. I know because we look at lots of grant applications and we have to tell a story, but it's, we're seeing numbers that are proving all these things out. But the importance of music in a community is, like I said, I know it sounds a little cliche, but it does heal divides in our culture. Where I physically sat at restaurants and places long before I ever got involved, and someone on the left of me believes very much in politically this way, the other person's this way, and they would fight normally over every little issue you can imagine. And then this would heal those divides, and they would establish friendships for it. From the tourism factor, if we want economic growth, right now we have new venues down on Main Street now. So you have a little music scene that's happening now on Main Street, kind of starting at night. The music that we've been pushing in conjunction with the local businesses, now those restaurants are filling up on a regular basis. So it's, it's supporting the local economy. It's bringing tourists to the area. Our Klamath Music Festival has gone up to about 22% of out-of-town attendance now. So people are coming to Klamath Falls and discovering what we have here, supporting our local businesses through it. But then there's mental health components for artists, and there's, I know the Blue Zones thing was a big thing a few years ago, and finding your right tribe and finding your connections. And through music, a lot of people we know that have been shut-ins and just isolated are now coming out and finding their friends and their networks and their peer groups and mental health components. So it's an extremely important thing that people I think a lot of people just dismiss it, but it will change a culture if you let it.
If a picture says 1,000 words, imagine the story. 24 frames a second can tell about your business. 40 Deuce Films.
When I think of musicians, I tend to think of people that get started young and pick it up and then continue. But is it something that people start later in life?
Absolutely. That's the beautiful thing with music. Music is a lifelong thing. You can pick it up at 78 years old if you want to pick it up, or you could pick it up at 4. So it just depends what you want to do and whatever's kind of speaking to you.
Mm-hmm. What's your music talent? Do you play an instrument? Do you sing?
So I sing, I play guitar. I had a kind of one-man band moniker called Relevant Discord, released a couple professional songs and smaller EPs and things with that several years ago. So that kind of got me into this world. I started a record label beforehand, back when I was graduating college. I actually graduated from Oregon Tech in their first couple of years of the business program up there. And but yeah, I play guitar, I sing. I don't get to perform too often doing all these things. So, but every once in a while I'll go to an open mic because you just have to scratch the itch, so.
Are there a lot of open mic opportunities in Klamath?
We have 3 that kind of do them intermittently. Mia's and Pia's does one on the first Fridays of the month. That's consistent unless the first Friday happens to be like maybe New Year's Day, like a holiday. I know out at the Woe, they try to do one on the second Fridays of the month, and then Bravada Brew House, it's not as often. It's a little bit more intermittent, tries to do the third Friday of the month. And so as Klamath Music, we actually got to kind of help a little behind the scenes saying, hey, if you kind of offset the weeks and kind of help with the schedule a little bit, we don't run them ourselves, but at least we're an advisory service behind the scenes for many, many businesses and people that are looking like, hey, how do we improve what we're doing musically, artists, all that stuff.
So thinking about the festival that you guys do in August, what is that like for somebody that's not been? What could they expect?
Yeah, so it's not going to be Coachella. The prices are not going to be Coachella prices. We actually keep this as affordable as possible. So we keep our ticket prices right around $25 right now. I don't know when this will air. We're doing an early bird special at $20 right now just to get people there and to let them know that this is going to be something special. But putting it together is an insane amount of work. But as far as for someone attending, it'll be at the Ross Raglan Theater Complex. We shut down 7th Street in front of it. We have the cultural center taken over with kind of kids' family room where you can play on musical instruments. The street will have an outdoor street stage with shades and tables, chairs, little dancing lawn area. We'll have 6 acts on that stage this year. And then for the evening, we'll go inside this year for our final 2 acts. So the people have like reserved seats for that. So you get to experience, walk around during the day outside, go into the theater at night, have a reserved seat for that. If you need to come and go, you can come and go because I know it's a long day. It'll run from 1 to 9 p.m. And with our headlining acts, will be the final 2 acts starting at 6:45 inside. We have a Mad World singer, Gary Jules, for that one. And then we have the Fabulous Thunderbirds. This will be our headliner.
Okay. Do you have the other acts
I do.
already done? You want to share those?
Yeah, absolutely. So the lineup, I'm not going to get the times right, but I think it starts with Aaron Miller Band, a local band outside. We have Apis Mellifera. She was one that was going to do one of our showcase programs, but sadly broke down. So we're bringing her back for this one. We have a KU high school student band, Atelectasis, in that. So as an organization that was kind of a folk leaning thing a few years ago, people ask us, where are we going with music? Why are you Klamath Music? It's like, well, we want to represent the diversity of music in town. And this is one way. This is going to be a big push forward with bands like this, giving our teenagers a chance to play. Sweet and Juicy, a band out of Portland that's played in town a couple times before. Arthur Boiso, he's one that he's actually from New York State, goes by the savage folk kind of thing, but he's a sweetheart guy and an insane talent. And I recommend anyone check these artists out as well. So, and then Stephanie Ann Johnson, actually, she was a voice finalist. So she's going to be wrapping up the outdoor stage with her band.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Can you think of a song that really is important to you? brings all the feelings?
Oh gosh, that one's too hard. I don't have a favorite song. As I said a couple of times, it's like I was very much a rock guy. So the grunge, the industrial, that was my coming into the scene back in the early '90s. So, um,
Not even one or two songs?
oh, I mean, yeah, but it's not like the
You're
ones
not gonna
people
do
like.
it.
It's not like the Happy Sunshine songs. It's like, yeah,
That's okay.
yeah.
I like music of all
I'm a
kinds.
big fan of Nirvana, Nine Inch
Uh-huh.
Nails, and things like that. That's some of my love.
Yes.
So you can pick many songs from those.
That's fantastic. What is in the future for Klamath music? What do you see in the next 5 years?
Yeah, things are growing quickly. So as long as we have the community support, as long as the financial support's there, we're going to keep pushing, trying to help people get more venues in town, get more stages in town. The festival has tremendous growth potential. The interest is there, so I think we can keep going with multiple showcase programs throughout the year, making Klamath Falls a West Coast music hub. I think is something that's really important to us, but in our own unique way of doing it, where it's not the LA scene of people trying to get the record deal and everyone's at everyone's throats. It's very much come and experience a neighborly community with music as this thing that actually brings us together with people of all different talent levels. And that's something beautiful about our artist community too. I don't think there's not pretentious people in it and things like that. You have some insanely skilled musicians that are right there supporting the brand new people. In a lot of other communities you go to, you won't find that. So yeah. So in the future, I think we're growth for the festival, growth for these different programs, and really putting Klamath Falls on the map is, I think, something that is already happening. And with the community support, we can make that happen a lot quicker.
That's definitely something we can get behind.
Yeah.
You personally, what brought you to Klamath?
My dad actually grew up here. So I was born in LA, lived down there through my elementary school years, had a grandparent. My grandfather on my dad's side passed away in 1990. And then it kind of worked out time-wise. I was going into junior high school for 91. So the family made the decision, hey, it's time to get out of LA. I wasn't sure what junior high I was going to go to down there. And then grandfather passed away. So we're like, it just felt right to make the move to come back to Klamath where he had grown up.
Okay.
Yeah. So Klamath Falls has been my home base since 1991. I've come and gone, done some things, of course, and been out for a while, but then, always come back.
What got you, other than like listening to music and loving music, was there somebody or something that got you into wanting to play music?
Yeah, I think, of course, I mentioned like the Nirvana thing. And I remember being in high school, hearing the announcement, like Kurt Cobain died, and the whole class was like, it was such a cultural thing at the time. And everyone was just dumbstruck by it. But that really got a group of my friends really into music at that time and said, well, what was this type of thing? And we were really, some of them were already into it, but I was kind of late to the game at that point in time. And just that really kind of just that angst and that energy and that authenticity was just something really special. So then in the next year or two in high school, we had a couple friends who were picking up guitar, and I remember watching them. I actually went to Henley High School. So watching a couple of people were able to go play guitar in the band room, like in May of 96, and this is like the end of my junior year of high school. And, watching them play guitars and with the different effects pedals. And I'm like, yeah, I want to try this. And my mom had an acoustic guitar at the house. She never really played. She just kind of got it for fun and just started tinkering on it, figuring out little tunes. And then as soon as you start figuring something out, it's like the bug bites and there you go.
Did you take lessons, or you self-taught, or a little bit of both?
Pretty much self-taught on this one. I will freely admit I'm not the greatest guitar player. I can hold my own, but it's I have to definitely when I sing and play, then I'm like feel a little fumbly on guitar at times, But I had a friend at the time there. He showed me the little basics, like this is what tablature is. You kind of play by numbers, and like okay, so you sound out a couple songs that were popular at the time, and then from there it's like all right, there you go. So it was like one or two quickie sessions with him, and then that was it.
A lot of my guests, we've talked about doing things, even if it's scary. Was it scary the first time you played in front of people? Is it still scary?
Yeah. The first time I remember so many times in those early days of learning guitar, I think we would kind of stay at his house. His dad had a big home out in Keno, and they'd invite a bunch of people over, and it's like, oh, well, we could perform here. And it's like, you just got, even though it's like 7 or 8 friends, it's just like so nerve-wracking, whatever. So the first time I really, really started performing in front of people was after graduating college and starting my record label was 2001, 2002. And that was definitely a little terrifying. Anymore, I think it's more terrifying when you do it less. So if you're out there doing it more often, it's not too scary. Because I have to be at so many events and on the mic and talking things, it's not too scary anymore, but it just depends who's in the audience. If you're going to a new venue and all of a sudden, like, here's all the record producers or something like that, that gets a little like, okay, maybe not.
Right.
Yeah.
I always find it more nerve-wracking to talk to a group of people that I know versus a bunch of strangers. I don't know why. I think probably because they're more likely to give you crap.
Yeah.
Right?
There's been times I will completely relate to that. So
yeah. Well, thank you for your time today. And thanks for everything you're doing at Klamath Music. I do have a couple of fun questions we just wrap up. And I think I might know where you're going to go with this, but if I gave you $250,000 to make a difference at the end of the day, where would you do with it?
Well, I saw Micah's answer to that one, and he tagged us on that one. So I'm going to follow up to that. I would build this stage. So we love the kids too, but music provides opportunities for kids, adults, teenagers. It provides the whole thing. So I would very likely put that into building some sort of stage atmosphere that puts Klamath Falls on the map and provides opportunities for our musicians and provides, audiences, because audiences also are forgotten a lot of this in these pictures. These are places where people connect and find lifelong friendships and all sorts of things, and they're people that they need to get through life. So I would build the stage.
Okay, perfect.
I love you, Micah. I would build the stage.
I guess I ask people sometimes, have you watched any episodes? But you watched that one. So
I've seen a couple. Yeah.
Awesome. Tell me about one of your role models.
That one is hard. I don't want to sound pretentious in any kind of way. I don't think I have one specific role model. I just see the work of so many people, and it's in little bits of inspiration there instead of just one key figure. So like Rod and Jody at Mia's and Pia's with what they were doing and keeping the music scene alive, I find that deeply inspirational. And what some of our folk artists were doing here in the community that started Klamath Music and the Folk Alliance before it became Klamath Music are deeply inspiring. I look at some of in the professional world, I look at certain musicians from those fields and look at them as like just kind of business leads. Okay, what are they doing? And I'm kind of a weird person that studies consumer behavior and what's working, business models, all those types of things. So if it's working, I watch, and if it's not working, I watch that too. So, but as far as one key component, I think a lot of people contribute to our lives. So I don't want to say it's one person,
I like that.
Yeah.
Tell me something that's on your bucket list.
My bucket list. Oh, I don't know. I feel like I'm just so focused right now.
That you can't even think about that?
I can't even. I'm like in the festival mode right now. So please come to the festival, everyone. It's important. It's a nonprofit thing. It does support nonprofit programs in the community. Bucket list items. I think there's certain musicians, one day I'd love to work with this producer or, some of those big acts that I've mentioned before. Maybe one day I'd open for something like that or do something collaboratively in a business musical sense that maybe we bring them into town. And we've actually had bizarre opportunities behind the scenes that I can't say on camera that have almost done things of that nature, but it takes time, so.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time today. And
thank you.
Go to the festival.
Absolutely. Go to the festival, support music in the basin, support the community. Yeah.
Thank you for your time. And thank you to 40 Deuce Films for this episode.
All right. Thank you.